I'll be flying. I'll be flying an Alabama flag on his boat.
What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast, and we've got one show that's going to be a blast, going down some rabbit holes tonight, and we've been looking forward to this since going to the Classic here this past year in Fort Worth, Texas, and we're going to get into that here in just a minute, guys. But before we get going, we've got some business to take care. This episode is brought to you by Bruiser Baits, FireFly Outdoor Marines, YOLO Tech, Spear Point Hooks, Pro Line Baits, Joe Burns Rods, and Cornfield Fishing Gear. Guys, if you needing any kind of product to go fishing with, go check out these and use the discount code DeckTalk10 and get you a discount on top of that as well. But if you don't know, I am Colin Burnett.
Pappy J. What's up, guys? We got a live giveaway tonight. What we're looking for, we're giving away the Bruiser, couple packs of Bruiser baits, the Outlander? Avengers. Awesome baits. Can't ask for nothing better right there. And what we're looking for, our guest, we're looking for his second day weight at the Classic this past year. Whoever are we going for the closest, or we want it spot on?
Well, we're gonna look for spot on. But if nobody gets it spot on, we're going to do the Price is Right deal. Whoever comes the closest without going over is going to get it. And here at the end of the episode, we're going to ask Bobby what was his day to weigh in, the weight for his weigh-in. But guys, if you don't know, we have Bruiser Bait teammate of ours, Bobby Bakewell. Well, I also got to say, Bassmaster Classic qualifier for 2025 in Fort Worth, Texas, Bobby Bakewell. What's up, brother?
Oh, living the dream, man. Living the dream. Pretty cool that you even get to say that.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking earlier, and you know, there's not too many people that can say they have fished the Bassmaster Classic. And your name will forever be on that list of people who have qualified and been able to fish a Bassmaster Classic, even though it didn't turn out the way that we were hoping for it to. But there's always next year, though.
Yeah. I tell you what, just once you go to one, you want to go back so bad. I have a couple buddies that actually told me that going in, and it really holds true. I need to get back to that stage. So that's why I'm trying to make it to the Elite Series to get there as much as possible. So you don't have to do what I did, like win an Open or get there through the nation where you got to go through a bunch of loopholes.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Like I like how they have it to where you can qualify through other avenues besides the elites. But man, I tell you, that I could just imagine just being in y'all's shoes, just thinking like, man, I got to do this. I mean, especially if that's the only way that you can qualify is for you to win the nation or an Open. I mean, that has got to be stressful.
Yeah. And fortunate for me, like that Open that I did win, like I went into it in third. I've come in second in like 5 big level events now, and it's, if not 6, and it just, luckily that one going into it, I went into it in third, and I was 2 pounds back on a place that a 2-pound fish is a good one or a big one. And I was trailing behind Will Davis, who's a good buddy of mine, and he is the man on that lake. So I figured I had no chance, and just went into it with an open mind and just to have fun. And I get a live camera in my boat, which I've always wanted, never been able to have. And so fortunate for me, I had no pressure on my shoulders. And then, I caught what I caught, which I started feeling the pressure a little bit because like midday, my camera guy started asking me like, man, what would it mean if for you to win this tournament, and qualify for the classic? And I'm like, why are you asking me this?
Yeah, he's hearing it in his ear.
Yeah. The back of my head's like, man. And he's talking to me about this while I still have 2 pound-and-a-halfers in my bag about midday, and I knew I needed 2 more 2-pounders just to get me there. And but he asked me that question like 2 or 3 times that day, and like updates and stuff like that. And I knew with how much they were asking me these questions that I was in contention. And then I caught 2 2-pounders right at the end of the day, and I was like, holy crap, I might have just done it. And I came in 10 minutes early, which I never come in 10 minutes early. But I mean, my smallest fish is a 2-pounder. And like I said, in that place, I ended up winning with just under 36 pounds. So you can imagine a 2-pounder is a big in there, which I was blessed with a 410 that day and big fish of the tournament. But I got to a point where I was like, I can't upgrade at this point. So I'm the only thing that could cost me doing better than I'm sitting right now, which was third, is me breaking down. So I came in early, and I saw a lady
eliminated that.
Yeah. So I saw a lady wearing Dakota E-Bear's jersey on a corner of a dock as I'm coming in, and I was talking to my camera guy. I'm like, my camera guy, not the live one I had in my boat. Man, I hate that I'm in this early, but I don't know what else to do. And this lady was like, congratulations. And I was like, what do you mean? Then all the emotions started hitting me. I started freaking out. I'm like, why is she saying this? And it kind of set in, and then it was chaotic for the next 24 hours just from then on.
Yeah. Awesome. Now with the classic, you really do not have, for a week and a half, you do not have time to breathe because bass keeps y'all pretty busy, correct?
Yeah. So we're there for a week and a half. I think it's 10 days.
Right.
We get 3 days of practice initially. And this year, the weather was so terrible. We were just talking about that. The weather was so terrible those 3 days. The first day it was gusts of 60-mile-an-hour winds. The second day it was like 30-mile-an-hour winds. And the final day it was blue in the morning, then didn't blow. But and then it was really, really cool because Bass provides you a hotel room for up to 2 people. And so my dad stayed with me in the hotel all week. And so you check in that Monday. So then Monday you're kind of free. You just check-ins at noon, so you can check out of your Airbnb that you had for the past couple of days. Check in, kind of the boat yard's open. You actually, because we're in downtown Fort Worth, and the lake is an hour away. So you have your boat and truck in a boat yard, and they have a shuttle going back and forth between the hotel and the boat yard. And so that day is just kind of for you to get settled in to kind of your digs for the rest of the week. There was some guys that stayed in Airbnbs, but I saw a free hotel, and I was going to take advantage of it. So I ended up doing that. You didn't have to tell me twice on that one. I spend as little money as possible because I ain't got it. But yeah. So then that day's that, and then Tuesday, I can't remember what we did, but we did something. Something was on the docket, and then Wednesday we had our practice day, which was, it blew 40 again, our official practice day, and then Thursday's media day, so that day is just chaotic in general, and then the tournament starts. And it just, I was telling y'all, I really went into it trying to win the tournament, and I the extracurricular activities I was a part of, and of all of it, because I wasn't going to miss out on any of it, but I constantly kept in the back of my mind, what do I need to do to win this tournament? And it kind of made everything fly by even faster. And you're constantly doing things, so it makes everything just really happen in the blink of an eye. Rigging tackle and stuff was good luck, But it was really cool. It was really cool, and I wouldn't change the experience for the world.
Yeah, I know. During the media day, because we done an interview with you and stuff, and I told you then, like, I didn't even know, I didn't realize that you were in it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like 2 boats down from you doing an interview with somebody, and I happened to, like, I'm leaning up over the gunnel of their boat. They're sitting like at 11 o'clock to me, and I see you in the boat, and then I look and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And then I seen Bruiser Bates on the boat, and I said, you got to be kidding.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I got done with that interview, I was like, I gotta go see Bobby. I said, I don't want to leave him without at least telling him, hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know it was, for us, it was awesome to be able to see you there, because that's everybody's dream, is to be able to go and fish in the Classic, and to be able to have a Bruiser teammate to be able to accomplish that. To me, it meant a lot to me, and then to be able to see, and to interview, and to see the excitement. And I mean, to be honest with you, you held it together a whole lot better than what I would have, because I would have been a nervous wreck. I would have been, because if you don't know, like, the media day, they're on their boats, they're getting ready, because the next day they are blasting off for day one, so they're tying stuff together and doing interviews in the same process. And I'll tell you, I'd end up, I'd cut the main line. I wouldn't, I mean, the tag lines, I'd be holding it. I would be all shook up. I'm telling you.
It was nice because I was, a lot of people didn't know who I was. So, like, I didn't have to do a ton of interviews. Like, there was, a couple of the big name guys, obviously, like Jochimson and Lee and those guys, like, they didn't get to do nothing. Like, they were all standing at the back of their boats. And that's why they've made a career out of it, because they're personable and they have a fan base and whatnot. And my career's so much in its adolescence that I don't really have that. But I had so many people, like you were saying, that, like, just from home, that were like living their dream through me. So it was really cool just to be able to, like, give them that. And I wish I could have had a better showing, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I had 5 day and only landed 2 the first day and 3 the second day.
Yeah, but I mean, I know, because my Facebook got hacked. I had access to my Facebook during media day, and then, like, at 9 o'clock on day one, my Facebook got hacked. I could not get into, and I didn't have Facebook for a month and a half, 2 months. Jesus. And the last thing that I posted, no, I take that back. The last thing I posted was your day one weigh-in, because I got it back and I went live when you went on the stage, and so I had it. I posted it that night, and then that next morning I did not have it the rest of the time, and so I got hacked like 3 or 4 times. I got it back, and I'd get hacked like within 6 hours. I was hacked again, and that was a long mess. But that was probably one of my 4 posts that I had at the Bassmaster Classic. And it was, I mean, I tagged you in it, and then I tagged like Bruiser and Steve and stuff like that. But it was out of the few posts that I was able. I mean, I had never seen somebody say, congrats, Bobby, or way to go, Bobby, go knock them out, or whatever. And so, I mean, it was, everybody, the support that I seen, even just with me posting it, was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. Like, everybody was rooting for me, and that just, it made it that much sweeter, and we even, I had 2 people that are very, very close friends of ours, Cindy Joint and Boogie. They actually held a kind of a fundraiser for me, just to, like, raise funds for me to go to the Classic. And I didn't ask them to do that or anything. And I felt bad taking people's money, but they're like, look, this is, like, people's opportunity to be a part of this. Like, they really want this, and we want this, so we're going to do it. So if you'll be a part of it, then we're gonna do it. I'm like, okay, like shoot, like I said, I feel bad, but if you want to do it, let's do it. And it was really, really cool. Like all the people that came and stuff and like supported me and whatnot. And then obviously all the text calls and comments and everything. It was really cool. But and like just a bunch of people that I didn't even know, just like way to represent Florida and stuff. It was cool. There's not a lot of guys anymore that are from Florida that are like catching them. I mean, John Cox, obviously, he's like our guy anymore, but like that's there's not him and Scott, which Scott doesn't fish pro tournaments anymore, but they were like the two guys.
Right, and then you got Shaw's retiring at the end of this year, and so but
he's a legend.
He's been fishing for
now. I tell you, Bobby, we've had Shaw on here a couple times, and every time I go and I see him, whatever event that I'll see him at, he'll come up. If he sees me first, he'll come up to me and he'll say, "Hey," and we'll just start chit chatting, and it never fails. We talk about fishing maybe 5 minutes out of the 25 minutes that we're talking. Then the rest of the time we're talking about catching gators. So he goes out there and he gets paid to go catch noose and gators.
Yeah, I saw he posted a video of that. I saw it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how much he did it. He uses active target to do it.
Yeah, the active target. And that's one thing he was talking about was that's how he goes out there and finds them. Like if he said, I'll just use the active target. He says it finds fish. Why can't it find a 10-foot gator?
That's right. Target. I've caught two doing it on accident. I caught one. It was in a brush pile. It was like a little stick. It was on like a popka, and I missed it first, and I thought it was a giant bass. I was like flustered and everything. I threw back in there, and it bit it again, and I stuck it. And when I stuck it, I thought I had the lake record. And then it just started screaming off, I knew. But yeah, like that big target. But when they're laying against the bottom, you can't really tell. But yeah, when they're suspended like that, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy what you can see on that forward facing.
Now, we've talked about this being from Tennessee, Georgia, North Georgia, Chattanooga area. We don't have anything in our lakes, river system that is harmful for life.
No, just plain out eat you.
So how is it? Like, because I go down to Florida every year and a couple times, and we'll do some fishing. I'm not saying that I'm comfortable with having gators by the boat. I'm definitely more comfortable than the first time that happened.
Yeah.
But how, like, is it just like? I mean, I guess it's just another day on the water for y'all just to have them. And
they don't mess with you. They don't. Every now and then you'll get. Like, if you go to a place that doesn't get a lot of boats, I've had it happen, like a couple times in my lifetime where, like, a really big one is, like, following the boat and was, like, just more curious than anything. But trust me, if they get the opportunity to do something, they'll do it.
Yeah.
But, like, they got to get to, like, 13-plus feet to even think about you. But the majority of ones that size have seen so many boats in their lifetime, they stay away. You don't really see them. Yeah. But no, as far as like worrying about them, like you don't, like the worst you got to worry about is one eating your frog. That's about it. But
yeah,
and like some guys will even like catch them on a frog, and then like the little guys, they'll catch them on a frog, and then they'll like take a picture with them stuff or whatever, or just hold them. I won't do that crap. Like if I hook a gator, I'll get it close and I'll cut the line. Like I'm not risking these bad boys are what I make a living on, and I'm not risking them for a dang gator.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Norman and I were down, and my dad were down in the Everglades and fishing the canals and stuff, and like the gators, like you can go down the center of the canals, and that's what we were doing, just going down the center, and like. The width of the canals down there, guys, are maybe 2 boat lengths, maybe 2.5 boat lengths wide. So one of us was fishing the left side, the other was fishing the right side, and the gators would come right down the center of the canal. And then once they get 25, 30 feet from the boat, they'll kind of go to one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one, and this is the first time I ever seen gators. I had one come up, and it was, I thought it was massive, but Norman was like, that's just like a 9-10 footer. It ain't nothing. And I was like, it ain't nothing. But it went, all of them would go along the side of the boat, wouldn't even bother you. But this one come to the side of the boat, got to the back of the boat, and decided it was going to whip a Yui on us and come up to the console and just face us. And so first time like being around gators, I'm like, I'm in a boat, I'm fine. So I got my GoPros going, and I'm taking pictures with my phone. And Norman, he's 120 pounds soaking wet. And he said, I'll just let you know this. You are the meatiest person on this, or meatiest thing on this boat. So that gator's looking at you saying, do I make it?
Is it worth the effort?
Get on that turbo motor.
Yeah. No, yeah. There's a couple of them you got to worry about every now. I guide at a plantation every now and then, like a couple times a year up in North Florida called Bienville.
Yeah.
And they're like the round 6 footers, like the. I guess that's kind of like the teenagers of their lifetime. Like kind of half grown is like the 4 to 6 footers. Those like will come right up to you and like just check you out and like be really interested in what you're throwing, like topwater eyes and stuff. If you are, they can be a pain. And but like before they learn like what you are and like learn to just like leave you alone, they can be pests. But as far as like worrying about them doing anything, the only thing you got to worry about is if you're like close to the water on the bank or something, and like there's one in the area that wants to eat. He'll light you up if you think he can. Like people have to get dogs get eaten all the time when they get close.
Have you ever had one steal a fish from you?
No, I haven't, but I have had my buddy Ron Riles, who's a guide on Bienville. They had like a 4-pounder right up next to the boat, and a gator came up and ate it, and they got pictures with it and everything. And that one was kind of it was a little too, it was too ballsy.
That's when I would have lost my bowels.
Yeah.
Which I know people that's listening to this have heard this story as well. We were fishing down there with a good friend Neil Starks with fishing with the American's Finest. Mm-hmm. And so he took us down into we were down in the Everglades fishing the canals, and there was a grass line that came out maybe 10, 15 foot in this canal. And so we was just throwing the 90s on the whopper ploppers, the smallest whopper plopper, throwing it along the grass line, and these peacock bass would just nail it. Mm-hmm. Well, I hung one, and I'm on the side where the grass is. Norman's on the outside, and so I hang one, and he throws one out farther past the line. It was bringing. He hung one, so we doubled up, and we had this. I'd say 8 or 9 footer that was right, stayed with us pretty much the whole day. And every time the peacocks would splash the waters, here it come right up to the boat. And so I hung it, and so I'm trying not to let it get into the grass. So I'm fighting it, trying to get it out. Well, Norman's fish comes on the other side. Norman and I get kind of tangled up. I got it all on video. So we're crossing up, and I'm trying to hurry up and reel it in. And Neil's in the back of the boat saying, get it in. And here comes the gator just comes up, whoa, and he's like, he said, you're not supposed to let them eat it. I said, Tennessee, we don't have stuff that we got to worry about.
Like having to worry about a shark.
No, I mean it was every bit of. I'd say, I mean, because I think the biggest peacock we caught that day was a little over 6, and I mean, it was, I'd say maybe 4 to 5 pounds. It was a good sized peacock, but
Yeah.
it didn't last nothing with that gator. It was.
Honestly, that one, considering he followed you for that long, he probably learned at that point if he does that.
And that's what Neil said was that fish or that gator has been around boaters, knowing that the boaters will probably tend to throw the peacocks or whatever fish towards the gator, and he would eat the fish. And so
I know some
saltwater
guys. Yeah, I know some saltwater guys that dolphins do that. They like all the wrecks and stuff they pull up on, like inshore and stuff. If you get a dolphin near you, they'll just repeatedly eat your stuff because they're trained.
I used to love dolphins until my dad and I went out, I think it was Pensacola, and we were doing some mackerel fishing. I mean, we were 300 yards away from the shore, and we were catching mackerel. And I guarantee you, we had about 20, 25 that we caught. We got one to the boat because the daggone bottlenose dolphins kept on eating the thing. We'd get, all it come up would get was just the head, because where they just come and just chomp it. And I'm like, I hate them things.
People don't realize, like, they are, everybody knows they're smart, but they don't realize how smart they are. And they know once you hook one, like there's guys that I know that I've heard of that, like, once they get 1-8 or 2-8, they just move. Like, they know you won't get them back.
Yeah.
So they just move on. But them dang dolphins are a nuisance when it comes to that stuff.
So, real quick, Pappy, will you tell us what the giveaway? We got a Bruiser bait giveaway real quick to where we'll do it again.
Yeah, we got 2 packs. One of the lily pad.
Yep.
And the Avenger.
Yep. Knockout.
No, the knockout. Why do I keep calling it Avenger for? I got Avengers on my mind. Is what it is.
It is that.
Well, okay. But the Bruiser base, and we have it's gonna be a giveaway, and what the ones that's closest to or right on Bobby's second day total.
His weigh
in at the Classic.
Yep.
Then you will get these 2 packs.
Yep.
Right here, the Bruiser base.
So
good stuff. Good stuff.
I see a couple people has mentioned, but they're a hair off. Well, a little more than a hair. So I think they went.
Talking about my hair?
Yeah, your hair.
Yeah.
I think if they were looking, they were looking more or less at what his day 1 weigh in. If I'll say that.
Day 2.
His day 2 weigh in. But so Bobby, what is what was your feelings, or what was going through your mind day 1? Fishing's done, and you're behind the curtains, and then they open the curtains, and you have Mercer announce Bobby Bakewell for the Bassmaster Classic, and pulling through the curtains and getting on the stage.
Yeah, so it was insane. Like I said, the whole Classic experience itself kind of flew by, but there was there was 2 things that was awesome about it. I mean, number 1 was like I said, I'm 26, and I went from being a high school angler to a co-angler to where I'm at now. And like, I've never been like someone that's been in the spotlight or, like had a lot of value and stuff. And like so the number 1 thing is, like, while you're at that event, like, you are treated like royalty if you're fishing in it, which was a whole different feeling for me. It was awesome. But, and then the second thing was going through those curtains. Those curtains were crazy. Like, I was shaking before going through it. And my first day, I'll give a little spoiler, it was not that great. But I missed fish, and it was so frustrating because, like, I went to start on a tree that that had some big ones on it, and Trey McKinney started on it, and so I wasn't, obviously wasn't going to pull up on one tree on Trey, and so I went into another pocket, and first bite of the day was a 6-pounder, and I set the hook on a jig and got it halfway to the boat and it come off, and it was I got to feel what it feels like to miss a big one in the Classic, which is not something that I really wanted to, but like, oh my gosh, like I let out a little yell and I was like, okay, back to work. Gosh dang. And I worked my way into the back of this pocket. And the thing that I've told myself to make me feel better is that when I went through there, the fish weren't positioned right in the trees yet. And I got to the back of the pocket, and Trey McKinney followed right behind me. I mean, right behind me. And did absolutely nothing wrong. But he followed in right behind me and proceeds to catch 25 pounds right behind me in the stuff that I just fished in the Bassmaster Classic. So, I mean, I was just so defeated, like that whole process. And you're sitting in the boatyard waiting for them to pull up to your boat with a Tundra and pull you through the arena. And it's just like, I was just sitting there so defeated. And then just trying to think about, like, it's a blessing just to be here. Don't think about it. It's a blessing just to be here. And they announced my name and everything and pulled through there. And it was really cool. And got to talk with Mercer on stage. I've always wanted to do that, of course, and definitely want to do that more in the future.
I was about to say, hopefully one of these days you're going to be talking to him every tournament.
Yeah, on a regular basis. That's the goal. But yeah, that was so cool. I mean, that was insane. It really was.
Yeah, because I mean, I could have just imagined, like what I said earlier, like you handled yourself so well. I mean, because again, I would have been a nervous wreck. I mean, I probably would not even had a chance to even lose that 6-pounder because I probably would have forgot to hook set the thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can imagine, and just talking to other anglers and stuff, but you got that high anxiety and stuff right there when everybody's at the launch, but once they call you and you have blasted off, it's just another day. And so I can only imagine, though. I didn't know that Trey was right behind you, and then he comes out and spanking everybody on day one.
Yeah, and they actually had me on live. It's Trey catching like a 5-pounder, and then like they cut the camera, like looks over to my boat, and I'm putting a 2-pounder. And it's like, man, that looks like a good one. I'm like, yeah, I wish it was, but
that's when you go, and I mean, you're from Florida, so you know how to do the rolling measurements.
yeah, right. It was rough, but I mean, he's really cool. I know Trey, and he's a really, really good dude, and he is a phenom in this dang sport. He is a fishing freak, but and he got to the back of the pocket and was like, "Bobby, is that you?" I said, "Yeah, man." And he's like, "All right, I'll get out of here, buddy. I'll get out of here. I won't get in your way." I said, "Man, this, you already got a fat bag at this point. Do what you got to do." But and I asked him what he had, which I wish I wouldn't have, but and he told me, but which I could have figured because he had an entourage following him, and they were hooting and hollering, behind me for a while. So that was a feeling in itself. But that place was not a place where you got a lot of bites, and like with the wind blowing as hard as it was, it really narrowed down what you could fish. And I fished a lot of new water the first day, and I knew I was only going to get like a great day was going to be like 7 bites. But I knew more than likely I was only going to get about 5 bites, and I had 5 bites the first day and only caught 2 of them. And that's the name of the game. I went into it to win the tournament, and that's what I knew I had to do to win. And
that's one thing. Like when we were doing the interview with you on Media Day, that was one thing that you said was I'm looking for 5 bites.
Mm-hmm.
It's anything you said. Anything that I get over 5 bites would be my blessing. And
Yeah.
and I mean, it came. I mean, that was you was right on the nail with that. And I mean, I hate the fact that it didn't turn out again the way that we were hoping for it to turn out. And because it definitely would have been nice, even just to see you out there on Sunday. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
but and I imagine the bank account would have liked it too. So
Yeah. Yes, it definitely would have. Definitely. I will say, like, just for showing up to that tournament, you get $10,000 as soon as you launch your boat the first day of the tournament, which is a crazy feeling. So that was another thing. Like when I didn't catch them the first day, I was like, well, at least I got that to fall back to, which is not what you want to think about at all when you're at a tournament where 300 grand's in is first place. You want to go to win. That's a very rare tournament where there's no points on the line, there's no layups. You just swing for the fences,
Yeah.
So I did that, so I have zero regrets as far as that goes. But I've had a lot of close calls in my life, like second places and stuff, and I feel like they've matured me as an angler more than like I mean than doing than winning the one tournament that I did. It made the winning the one tournament that I did win that much sweeter because things finally just went my way. But because to win a tournament like a tournament at that level, like just everything has to go in your favor. Like you can't miss fish. I didn't miss fish really at all that I hooked that entire week at Martin, and you just have to make all the right decisions. Like people underestimate how much of a mental game fishing game is, but it's like 80% mental and 20% just putting them in the boat. But just making the right decisions at the right time is a huge.
I know you had said earlier that you was kind of limited on where you was, where you could fish at because of the wind and everything. But that morning, did you already have a couple spots that picked out, or that maybe you was kind of going back and forth on, or any? And if so, how did you really say, okay, I'm going over here to fish this spot and not over here?
Yeah. Well, that tree that Trey started on that was my best starting hole that I was going to start on.
Right.
That was out of the wind. Honestly, the majority of my quote unquote juice was like on the windy end of the lake, and so I really just planned on not fishing that the first day. I was just like, I'm not even going to bother because I'll just be spinning myself out, battling that wind. I'm not going to do it the first day. I'm just going to fish on the calm side of the lake, try and stay calm. I knew what I had to fish, which ended up just being pretty much timber. Like the fish were kind of staging pre-spawn. That and some rock piles mixed in. I knew what I had to fish to get the bites that I needed. So if I had to fish new water, it wasn't going to break my heart. So I wanted to start on that tree, and then Trey was on that tree, and I had already run into this creek. So I was like, well, I'm just going to fish this finger. Screw it. I didn't even fished it before, and I started working my way in. And I missed that 6-pounder, and I'm like, okay, well, fish live in here, obviously. And then Trey showed me that it was a really good bucket, but
you had to learn the hard way.
Yeah. And then the second day that was like, pouring salt in the wound like crazy was, having a mediocre first day, me being out of the wind, like it's just a common courtesy to, like tournament etiquette to not crowd the guys leading the tournament or the guys up high in the tournament. So like the second day, all of the good numbers that I had, like my best spot from practice that I went to pull up on, I kid you not, I went to 4 waypoints like in a row. I pulled up on the first one, and Jockimson was sitting there. And I tell you what, you could tell if you were around Jockimson because he had a pontoon boat that was a ways off him, and they were screaming, Ozzy, Ozzy, Ozzy. It's like, well, I know who that is. But went to pull up there, and he was there. And then I went to pull up to another pocket, and Easton was there. I was like, well, I'm not going to pull up in here. And because they got camera guys in the back of their boat. But went to pull up in another pocket, and it was Corey Johnston, and he was in like second or third. And then I went to pull up in another pocket, and it was and Lee Livesey was in there. It was where he caught them all on the pink chatterbait. I caught a 6-pounder in there in practice on a chatterbait, and it was just like I had my camera guy with me, and I looked at him and I was like, buddy, I said, I found the fish to win the tournament. I can't get on them. Like, I'm not going to crowd these guys. It's just wrong. So I did. I went up and I fished new water, but that was just defeating because it's like I did what I needed to do in practice. I didn't. I don't know if which Lee definitely hit the first day, the stuff that he was on the second day, because I actually just watched his YouTube video, so I know that. But I didn't even go there the first day because I thought it'd be blown out, but it was kind of hidden around a point, so getting there would have probably been gnarly. But once you got there, it was fine. But that was a very defeating feeling when I was like going from waypoint to waypoint, just seeing like the who's who in this tournament is sitting on all these spots.
Yeah. Now, I mean, in a way that kind of makes you feel good because you're like, I found the right fish.
Yeah,
but in another way, you're like, this sucks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like the best and worst of both worlds. But
yeah. Now, what kind of jigs are you throwing?
My dad's Bakewell Custom Jigs. He makes jigs. It started like just kind of from the ground up. I started fishing in high school, and I was throwing swim jigs on like semi chain and stuff. And we fish for snook inshore, which is a saltwater fish. And he ties like 1.5 to 2 ounce bucktails. And I was throwing these swim jigs. He's like, man, I could make that. And so he got a do-it mold and just started pouring them and stuff. And I said, if you want to make it, I don't care. I was 13 or 14 at the time. I don't have to pay for them at the end of the day. So shoot, if you want to do it, do it as long as they, So he did it that way, and he started making some, and then like kind of the word started getting out that I was catching fish on it. We were catching fish on it, and a couple of my buddies started throwing them and stuff, and then people started buying them. And then at that time it was B&B jigs, which was like Bobby and Bobby, because his name's Bob and Bobby. But and then it kind of died down a little bit. He had a lot going on with work and stuff, and it's a big commitment, to start a bait company from the ground up, and he didn't really have the money. And then fortunately we had a gentleman that's like a very, very good friend of ours that stepped in to help out, and kind of we rebranded to Bakewell Custom Jigs, and I've been pushing them a lot, and yeah, now he's up to, it started with just a swim jig, but now he's got his swim jig, of course, and we're working on a flipping jig. I've already caught some big ones on it, but we're just working on getting it to where we could get it on a readily basis. And he's got spinner baits. He's got 3/4 ounce Arky jigs. And then I also we're working on a 1/2 ounce Arky jig as well, and he's got a finesse jig. So it's really like kind of, he's got a good bit now. I actually just got him I don't know if I should say that yet, but I just got him a 1,000 jig order in the past month or so. So I got him busy now. So he gets home from work.
Get to work.
He got to tie jigs.
Yeah. Which I started out just tying jigs just for myself because I got tired of going out spending $10 here, $10 there, and then after a while, I mean, it adds up. And then I got to looking at it, and I was like, man, I could make this for a fraction of what it would cost me. And so I started, and then I got them, which I made a lot of just the finesse jigs just because we use a lot of the micro jigs and stuff like that for nickajack. And I had them in a couple of tackle shops and stuff, and then it just got to where with my YouTube channel, the podcast, and doing everything, all the other obligations and stuff that I had, Michelle said 26.9. He wished he had 26.9. He wished. He says, I'm watching, not tying. LOL, your dad did. But and so I just kind of just stopped doing it and just whatever I need. If I got buddies that need some jigs, and I'm fixing to show old Pappy here how to tie them up, paint them, and dip them, and bake them, and
it's a
it's a
process.
process.
It is a process. It's a process.
Well, I'm kind of old school. I just like I know how to fish them, and that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
I've had people around me my whole life that's made jigs and spinner baits, but I'm just like, I'll let y'all do the dirty work. I just want to fish them.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
But I will say he's got some pretty mean jigs. I really like how he got his jigs. They're pretty good.
Yeah. That's where I'm at with my dad. I'm like, look, I'll throw them and I'll promote them. I'll tell you what's good and what ain't. But I'm not gonna sit there and talk.
And then you tell him, you see this tray? It needs to stay full.
That's right. I actually I gotta, like I said, I'm gonna be gone for 2 months up north. So I told him, I said, I am gonna need some stuff. But yeah.
All right.
Well,
that happened pretty quick, didn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know if Google was part of that one, but whatever. I mean, but I want to talk with being in Florida and being in the that's funny. Because Florida is known for big bass, and Texas also. But what has been with you traveling all over? What has been the biggest thing that you've learned or had to learn with going from fishing down in Florida to like maybe fishing river systems like the Tennessee River, then going to you're just talking about Clark's Hill with the Highland reservoirs and stuff like that. What has been the biggest thing that you've had to learn in your career so far?
That's a great question. People don't realize it. Like the majority of the country fishes very similar, other than like Florida and like maybe like California and stuff because they're shallow as well. But like deep water here is like 10 feet of water, and I'm not exaggerating. Like that's literally fishing deep here, and that's shallow. Like anywhere you leave this, once you leave the state of Florida, that's shallow. So the biggest learning curve has been that deep water, like deep water stuff, like the 30 and beyond, like especially Clark's Hill and stuff like that, like the ditch fishing, throwing a minnow. It's a pain. Luckily for me, I do have forward facing sonar, so it cuts into a lot of it like cuts the learning curve down a little bit, which it's still hard to learn, but that definitely helps me a lot. But probably the hardest one for me was definitely like the spotted bass fisheries. The smallmouth, it's not, knock on wood, I'm fixing to go fish for some, but it's usually not quite as hard because they bite. Like smallmouth are just mean. Like you throw it. Yeah. We went to St. Clair last year. I can't tell you how many of them I had. Literally, I would see them throw my drop shot over there, and they would come up and eat my weight, and I'd have to pull it away from them. It would come back. It would drop back down to the bottom. They'd go down, then they'd eat my bait, and I'd catch them. Like, I mean, those fish just bite. Them spotted bass, especially the herring eaters, like Lanier, Hartwell, stuff like that, where you have to, like, you get one cast or like one presentation where if you screw that up, you might as well move on to the next spot. That in itself is so hard to comprehend from somebody like me. Like Florida, you get a bite somewhere, you need to settle down, hunker down, and like work around that area because there's more fish around there. And in Florida, especially, you're not fishing for a ton of bites. You're fishing for 5 to 10 bites in a day. And that is like the total opposite. The majority of the rest of the country, like you need to cover a lot of water. And that in itself was a huge learning curve for me, was like just covering a ton of water. I'm used to, like I said, hunkering down in an area, and that's in the majority of cases once you leave the state of Florida, not what you need to be doing.
Right. Now how, like, because I'm still learning Florida fishing. I mean, because again, it is different because everywhere you put your boat in, and all you got to do is turn your head left or right, and it looks like there should be a 10-pounder right there. Everything looks perfect. Like this, it's going to hold a fish right there. But you also have that, and then you have like Okeechobee and stuff, and all the lakes that have the grass and stuff in it. That these grass mats may be on the north side here today, but tomorrow may be on the south side or whatever. They move so often. Like, so how is it? How do you go about trying to find fish when it's like that?
Yeah, so that is another thing that's totally different about Florida. So, everywhere outside the country, like other than grass fisheries and stuff like that, even like Chickamauga or Tennessee River fisheries, like they don't, which this is in the past, I could be wrong on this, but they don't usually spray the grass. The grass dies off because y'all do get cold weather, but they usually come back in the same places. So it's pretty predictable. But like other than that, other than grass fisheries, it's like points and rocks and brush piles. Like they're on the same points, the same rocks, and the same brush piles every single year at the same time every year. Here, we might be catching them out of a hydrilla bed that in a month is gone because they spray it all. Like you literally, you have to find new fish all the time. So about the only thing that plays, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some brush piles that do play, on a regular basis, as far as timing wise each year goes. But the majority of what we do down here is fishing, like offshore grass and stuff like that, shell beds. And then not only that, your floating vegetation like hyacinth, pennywort mats, stuff like that, where you can punch, like you're saying, that drift around a lot and get sprayed. So it's like it's a double whammy where if past knowledge is almost like a waste.
It's useless.
Literally, it is. And so kind of just knowing what I know in Florida as a whole and like what fish do certain times of the year, that helps me a ton when looking for fish and stuff like that. Which Okeechobee in itself, you mentioned Okeechobee, that is just a beast in itself because of how poor the water quality's been the past couple years. And there's only like a few places in the lake that actually play, which right now it's drawn down so low, they are smashing them because the water quality is fantastic. But there's not a lot of aquatic vegetation. So like you'll have these accumulations of boats in these small areas where there is vegetation. And so just finding that. And unfortunately, when it is like that, it gets to a point where like people just look for the boats. Like that's the easiest thing to do in Florida. Florida's terrible about what we call snipers. Like you'll be on a shell bed or brush pile or something, and you'll go by and you'll see somebody reach up to that depth finder and freaking hit that waypoint button. And it sucks because you put all that time in looking for this one spot, and then you finally find it, and then somebody finds it just by riding by you. Yeah. Which now obviously that's not the majority, but there is a few that do that. That's pretty rough. But I mean, as far as finding fish goes, like you have to know what they're doing that time of year. This time of year, summer, dog days, the water temps are in like the 90s. So it's really a grind, and you have to know, what those fish get on this time of year. Like brush is a really big deal, and just stuff that they can hunker down in, and or like some grass that cools the water down for them. Shade lines, docks, stuff like that. So just knowing that and what they get on each year, that's kind of the best way to attack the fishery. Majority of the time when they come to Florida, like these big tournaments, it's around pre-spawn or spawn. So knowing what zone or what those fish are doing at that time really has it depends a lot on water temps, but just knowing like what they're doing on a certain water temp, that helps a ton, whether, to chase pre-spawners or just chase spawners, stuff like that.
Yeah. Because like here, we'll have like our spawn. We usually go end of March till maybe first, second week of May. So we probably have roughly a month and a half, 2 months. But down there, y'all
Yeah.
spawn
We get,
starts.
yeah. Like December to like I've caught now Okeechobee's its own beast. I have literally caught fish spawning in Okeechobee in June, the very beginning of June. But like Florida in a whole, it's like they'll start in December and like go until April or May, depending on how hot the water temps are and stuff like that. Like it lasts a long time. Which don't get me wrong, there is a month window or a couple week window where it's the wave of fish, like the big
Right.
wave, and when that happens, it's dumb. Like we had a Toyota on Okeechobee this year at the beginning of the year in February that like we hit the nail on the head. And
Yeah, there's
the
some
weights.
massive bags.
Yeah. Like I had 29 pounds the first day, and my buddy he had like 25, and he struggled the second day, and I want to say he had like 8 pounds or something like that, and he didn't get paid. Which in that lake, if you have 30 pounds for 2 days in the past few years, you were like making the top 25 in these Toyota Series events. So like that was one of the rare occasions where we like hit the nail on the head, had a warming trend, had a moon, had everything perfect that week, and it was a smash fest. But
Heck
you
yeah.
know,
So how excited are you to go here? What, in about 3 weeks to be going up north and going after some footballs?
very, very, very excited. I'm hoping I'm hoping just to get past Chesapeake Bay, because I've never been there, and the opens, the new rules for this year, we can't get any information, and so I have no preconceived notion. I haven't even really been watching any YouTube videos yet, because it is still a month out. I got plenty of time, but so like I don't really have any preconceived notion other than its title, and it's a grass fishery, which I like fishing grass, so that's good.
Yeah.
But tide is still not. I'm not very very familiar with it. I did fish an invitational on the Potomac River, and I did fish the James as a co, but just that tide can be fickle. You get into a bad rotation, and it's really really hard to get back into a good one. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
just to survive that one and then go into the St. Lawrence, and then that's from then on. It's just going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
I
Now I couldn't imagine. I mean, them smallmouths up there are just built totally different. I mean,
They bite.
we've got some decent smallmouths here, but ours are like torpedoes.
Yeah.
To where up there they're just massive footballs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the thing is like I've seen some videos. I've never fished up there. I do want to go and try it out. But to see, it's to me, it's hard to imagine being able to look down 30 foot and see rocks just moving. so I mean, I mean, I don't know. I think it'd be fun to be able to hook into some of them. But
Oh yeah, they're a blast. Like, I don't believe we're allowed on Lake Ontario this year in the open. In fact, I know we're not. But so I went there for like a 2 or 3 week stretch 2 years ago. I had a invitational on La Crosse, Mississippi River, and then there was a Toyota like 2 weeks later on St. Lawrence. So me, Christian Greco, a buddy of mine, and then another buddy, my camera guy, we rode to the St. Lawrence and stayed there for like 2 weeks. And me and my dad flew up, and we went. Me, him, and my camera guy went out on Ontario one day, and I got to like witness what was truly special about that place, because I didn't know anything about it other than like I heard a couple guys say like just go to the islands. I was like, okay.
yeah.
I rode out to the first island and just started scoping around, and we had 25 pounds by noon. I mean, it was ridiculous, like
Yeah.
just dumb. They bite, which of course, like when you have a multiple day event, don't get me wrong, like once you start getting later in the tournament, like once practice goes on and then the tournament starts and everything, they get a little harder to catch. But like initially, it's just so much fun because they're just so mean. They just bite, and especially that St. Lawrence. They're, like you said, they're built just insane there because you got river smallmouth that are eating them gobies, and
I was gonna say, and the thing is I mean, because here we've got a lot of bait fish, and but there they got like them zebra mussels and the gobies, and I don't know if it's the combinations of them, but them gobies are just nothing, little fat little things that they're just, I mean, it's just straight protein that they're just.
Well, that's what I had read about the gobies, that it had when they first had got introduced or had come into the whole fishery, that people were worried that they wouldn't like them, the smallmouth wouldn't like them, and then they started. Then they just started,
we were wrong.
But this was like years and years ago.
Oh yeah,
and now that's like their main source.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that, and I think I read somewhere that the zebra mussels was brought on accident. It was on a ship or something like that came in. That it came off the bottom of a ship or something like that, and that's how they were introduced into the Great Lakes. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Like St. Clair last year, I've never seen water like that. It's like the pictures and stuff you see of like I don't know where it is, but like the tiki huts and stuff that are at like a vacation place that the water's just blue, and that's what it is. And you could literally see the bottom in 20 foot of water. It was ridiculous. Like, and it shows a lot, especially in like forward facing, like, and they're so mean. If you see a fish in your beam and forward facing, like if you have to move off that fish to see your bait, like you miss, like reel in, whatnot. I had them literally, like, I would miss a little bit and like lose them, and it was because they were going to my bait that was a few feet away from them because the water's so clear and they're just mean as hell. It's I can't wait.
So I want to give you the opportunity because I know that you couldn't do this if you didn't have the sponsors. So I want you to be able to give your sponsors a shout out, in which we've already talked about Bruiser and stuff like that. But I know you. I've seen your jersey. I've seen your boat, and so can you tell us like some or just list us out your sponsors? My dog's trying to get its 15 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it takes an army to do what I do. I went full time a couple years ago, and doing this full time is very, very hard. So we're pretty much sponsor driven. So yeah, I mean, my title sponsor is Worth Industry. They're a fastener company. They're all over the world, and they do everything from stainless to all kinds of different things. But I have a list of them. Senko sticks, I got on with them this year. I have a discount code. I believe it's code Bakewell. You get a discount on them. They're American made, and he makes them. And he makes a bunch of customs down in South Florida. But Yozuri, I've been with them forever. And you said Bruiser, I've been with them forever. 44 Tackle, they're a bait shop in Florida, but they also have an online store. And I have a plethora of them.
They've blown up here the past 2 years. They have really blown up.
Which one?
44 Tackle.
44, yeah. Chris is my guy. Yeah, especially Tyler. Tyler has done a lot for him, Tyler Williams. But I don't know why, but everybody, I have a bunch of people confusing me and Tyler, like at the Classic and stuff. They were thinking I was the jig boy and stuff, and I'm like, look, all right, I get it.
He's a couple boats down.
yeah, I'm like, I'm a bigger guy, and I'm wearing a 44 hat. I get it, but I'm not Tyler. But yeah, I mean, I got a bunch of them and a few buddies and stuff like that.
And I guarantee you, your boat is a whole lot cleaner than Tyler's.
I don't know that that's true right now, but at that tournament it definitely was. But
I tell you, and Well, the thing about it is all you have to do is look at y'all's feet. Whoever has shoes on is not tired.
Yeah, yeah. I get hell all the time. I got a flip flop tan from hell. You'd think I was wearing flip flops without even wearing them because that's all I wear down here. But yeah, Tyler's my buddy. He's a really good guy.
Yeah,
I've known him for a couple years now.
I think the past 2 years he has grown to be one of my favorites to watch on the elites. And I tell people like he is very underrated as an angler.
He's genuine. Yeah.
And
It's amazing how he catches fish everywhere. And don't get me wrong, he has a few techniques that he's good at, but there's one that if he can catch a fish on a jig, that's all he's going to do.
Oh, yeah.
And I got news for you. If he can catch them on it, you better watch out.
Yeah, you're in trouble. And that's the thing. Yeah, and because I'm like, what was it? I seen him at Wheeler. I went and done some media work with Bass at Wheeler, and I tell you, it was the cleanest that I've ever seen his boat. Let's say this, but I guarantee you, he had 100 of the jig knockers that knock those jigs. He had them all over the deck of the boat. There was plastic still all over, and and I told him, I said, Tyler, this is the cleanest I've ever seen your boat. He says, yeah, I cleaned up a little bit.
He won the tournament. Go figure, right?
Yeah. He and then another thing is like he's got a like my work fan. He's got it's a Milwaukee fan, I think, that he has, and especially when it's a hot tournament because he's from Maine. He's not used to any of this heat and humidity, and he'll have the fans sitting up there at the front of the boat just blowing on him. He is a hammer though. I really enjoy watching, and I don't know what it is. I like seeing shallow water anglers, and I love watching jig fishermen, and because I guess it fits more at home especially for how I grew up, and like Pappy and I, we kind of fish very similar. If it's 12 feet and shallower, that's where we prefer to be. Everybody else can have anything from 13 on. So
same usually, but unfortunately, I gotta broaden my horizons a lot.
So do we.
Yeah.
The caliber of angler anymore is just insane, especially like in these opens and stuff. Like it blows my mind. Like, I mean, last year I almost made the elites, and the guys that I was like neck and neck with, like Tucker and Paul have both won an Elite Series event, and Loberg almost just won one on 10 Killer. It's like the caliber of angler that's coming up through the ranks nowadays, like how good you have to be to make it to the elites is insane. Like you have to live, eat, and breathe fishing just to be able to have a chance to make it to the elites. So
and that's the thing. Like even I tell people all the time, like I don't know if I've ever seen like the past 3 years, rookie class has blown rookie classes out of the water. And I mean, and there's been some good rookie classes, but the last 3, I mean, I would not want to face them just because they're so stout. And it doesn't matter. People say, well, it's all because of forward facing sonar. They don't care. It don't have to be forward facing sonar. Just because they'll go and they'll beat you by 15, 20 pounds on a forward facing sonar tournament doesn't mean that that's all they can do.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I qualified for an ultimate angler tournament on Gunnersville at the end of the year, and it's no forward facing sonar, and I'm looking forward to it. Just a different change of pace, which don't get me wrong, I fished at home without forward facing all the time. But in that Tom Bigby River Open we just fished, I fished that whole thing without forward facing, caught them all on a frog. But I'm really excited for that one because, I mean, that's a special place in itself, and it's probably going to be a smash fest. So
Well, the thing is, on Gunnersville, and which I've talked to Chris Lane and stuff, and he even said this himself, like Gunnersville is probably on the Tennessee River is probably the closest thing to a Florida fishery because you have so much grass on Gunnersville that you could just sneak up into a pocket and you could flip for days and you go and you catch a good limit off of it.
Oh yeah. And the frustrating part of it is, a good limit might be, upper teens to 20 pounds, but that might not get you anything in some of these tournaments.
Nah.
Like
especially I know they have been. I mean, this year Gunnersville has really showed out this year, and with us, we're 45 minutes away from Gunnersville, and so we're kind of in a prime location, I guess you say, Bobby, because we got 30 minutes away from us. We can be on Chickamauga. 25 minutes we can be on Nickajack, and then 45 minutes we can be on Gunnersville. So it all kind of depends on what beast you want to tackle.
Yeah, you got the best of every world. That's like a lot of the stud anglers that are coming out nowadays are like guys like that are TVA guys, because you can do everything. Like you can fish ditches with a minnow, pre-spawn, stuff like that. You can you get the river aspect of it where you crank ledges and stuff like that. Then you get the grass aspect of it where you can fish shallow grass. Like it just produces a phenomenal angler. That's why it's like coming out of Florida, it's hard because you're really one-sided. So you have to broaden your horizons as you go.
We have a question asked that says, Bobby, what is your biggest bass you've ever caught?
1157. I think I've caught 2 1157.
Now, was that in Florida?
Yeah. I actually caught it this year, but I've caught 3 or 4 11-pounders, but I think 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken, both I've caught 2 that were 1157 on the dot.
Oh wow!
But
I caught one this year.
That scale's rigged. It won't go no higher.
It's a catch commander. I mean, it weighs pretty accurate, but I caught one this year, and it was a freak. It was so awesome. But
now, what's your biggest fish out of Florida?
Oh man, that's a good question. I've never caught a 10 out of Florida, that's for sure. I don't think I've caught a 9 out of Florida. I caught, practicing for that Ray Roberts tournament, I caught one that was right under 9 pounds on the Ozuri jerkbait, and that might be. I'm pretty positive that's the biggest one I ever caught, because I haven't caught. I mean, I've caught some fish up to like 7 pounds, but I haven't caught many that were like 8 plus out of the state of Florida.
Well, see, I went to Florida. I never had caught a 10-pounder. Never, no double digits. I've been knocking at the door. And so I went down there thinking, I'm going to Florida, so I'm catching me a double digit.
Mm-hmm.
I went down there. The biggest thing I caught was a 6-pounder. And I was like, man, I could have done this back at home. So I came back home, and I think it was like 2 weeks after I got back, I went and I had caught a high 9s, almost a 10-pounder. I had an 8, and then I had, what was it, like a 5 something for like whatever it was. I had 22 pounds and 3 fish, and I had one that I know that was over 10. It was about 10, 11 pounds is what I was. Had it up to the boat, and my dad's going to call me here after this podcast because I'm about to crash again. But he dipped the net, and the fish was going up underneath the boat, and so he hurried up to get the net down, and all you heard was my Demiki vault hitting the metal on the net, ting, and it goes flying up over. And he still cries about that. He'll call me. He says, "You had to throw me up underneath the bus again, didn't you?" So
that's tough. It's scary. It's scary being a netman at times. Like I actually knocked a fish off for a co-angler this year. I can't remember where it was. It might have been I think it was Seminole and a Toyota. It was like a 2-pounder. Don't get me wrong, but he ended up not coming in with a limit, and I felt bad because I was using one hand and it was a 2-pounder, so I wasn't thinking much of it, and then it ended up hanging the bait on the net and coming off, and I was like, I'd never experienced that before. Yeah. I was like, man, I'm sorry. Like now I know what these co-anglers feel like. They feel all the pressure when they got a net on.
So, but I've got one 10-pounder and caught it on chick, and but last year I thought I was gonna get another one last year, but I think I had 6 9-pounders last year out of Chickamauga.
Damn, and that place is giant.
So then we got a buddy of ours that he goes and he's a guide, and I think this year he's putting 56 double digits in his boat as a guide.
It's insane.
And so
that was the perfect storm because you got Florida strain and they're river fish, so they're just built like tanks. Mm-hmm. So it's got everything. It's got the big forage. It's just got everything, and they catch meatheads out of that place.
Yeah. And they just dropped some more Florida strand into it to get. They done Florida, and then they done that northern bass. They figured out that first that they call it the F1 out of that gene, it makes the biggest bass they get massive, and which he caught one here last January that was 14. I think it was 1470 something is what he caught. And he was on a guide trip, and he says all I was doing, he said I just had a little swim jig and a 2.8 contact that I was just dragging along this ledge as they were just. He said I had my clients on the front of the boat, and they were fishing out front. And he said, I seen this log on this ledge. And he said, I thought I hit that log. And then I looked at the line, and it was just going out towards the channel. He says, last thing I knew, logs didn't move like that. And so he hooked up, and it was 14. It was high 14s that he caught. And so ended up being the third biggest bass in Tennessee history that was recorded.
Jesus. I want a teener one day. That's on the docket list for sure. One day I want a teener. But it took me forever to catch a 10. I didn't catch a 10 until I was like, I don't even know, like 20, 21 or 20, somewhere in there. And I've been fishing my whole life, but I caught a ton of 9s, but then I finally once I caught 110, then I've caught a lot. And I've caught multiple 10s out of one lake that it's just got a bunch of gizzard chat in it. That's a big deal when it comes to growing that giant fish. It's just the forage.
Well, and the thing that I've noticed with catching the bigger bass that I've caught here in the past 3-4 years or so, that the bite on it is so much different. And especially like up here on chick, like that bite is just almost like a little tick. It's not like how you'd have a 2 or 3 pounders or less that they're just coming up and just meleeing this thing. It is such a subtle bite. It's like they're just inhaling. It's not that they're really trying to do anything. They're just inhaling, just sucking it in.
Yep. Minimal effort.
Yeah.
Minimal effort.
So, well, Bobby, I really have appreciated, and we do have a winner, but
Michelle got it on the nose.
Yeah, but I'll probably end up because Michelle, I don't know if she came in here and looked at my where I had it written down. She didn't, but so I don't think it'd be right for me to give to give the baits to her when it's actually just going to go hang up on my wall. So
okay. Okay,
So,
I didn't
So
know
in
there was
other
a
words,
connection there.
disqualified.
yeah. So
I didn't know that.
and we hear her she's in there cooking dinner and she's over here saying boo.
Yeah, she's disqualified.
So what we will do, the closest that I seen was
Right there.
was Stephen Sturgeon. So Stephen, I will message you. I don't know. It looks like it's on. I will message you, Stephen, and if you could send me your address, because everybody else that I've seen on my Facebook and everything else, he was the closest one. Even though we did say we're not going over the Price is Right rules, but he was by far the closest.
Now, are we going to reveal the weight?
Yeah. So Bobby, what was your day 2 weigh in? What was your weight for day 2?
I had 3 fish for 17.7.
17.
I mean, I would have said 1 fish, but I mean, kudos.
That would have been classic headlines. They would have called BS on that quick.
Bobby would have loved to have that big fish check too. So
Yeah, I had 5 bites that day too, and only caught 3 of them. They weighed 17.7. I was fishing for big ones.
So, but Bobby, man, thank you so much for coming on, and I will see you. And Pappy may be down. He's going to be in Tampa during ICAST, and he's going to try to slip away to ICAST. But
Okay.
I will definitely. What booth are you going to be at, or do you have to be at a booth?
I don't have any obligations, but I'm definitely going to be at Yo-Zuri a lot. I'm fishing the ICAST Cup for Yo-Zuri with my dad, but yeah, I'll be around them, and then probably swing by Power Pole some and Spro and Gamakatsu as well, just to say hi to the guys. But I'll be around there, and other than that, just kind of mingling with a bunch of buddies and stuff from the fishing industry.
Heck yeah! So
I'll be around. You can't miss me. I'm a big old target.
I'll definitely will find you, and we'll do a video or something like that, and we'll have fun. Maybe go grab a bite to eat, and so because I know once you get down there, it just goes crazy with people trying to pull you every which way, and so. But we definitely want to wish you the best here on your travels, safe travels up north, and especially in those tournaments. I would love to see you get up there and be able to go and hammer out some EQs, and I hopefully you can pull out the dub so you can get to Knoxville, because if you thought Fort Worth was something, when you have over 15,000 people at day 1 weigh-in, because everything's so close in Knoxville, you're going to have weigh-in, the expo, and then the arena. It's all like in walking, so you can park and walk the whole thing. So here 3 years ago, I think there was over 15,000 people that was at day 1 day 1 launch.
Goodness. It's funny. It sounds crazy to even think about, but now that I've already made it to 1, it doesn't sound so crazy.
Nah. Well, we just keep on seeing you out there. I mean, it's all I want to do. And so maybe one of these days we'll see you there, and you get to hold up that Ray Scott trophy. That would be even better.
Oh my gosh, dude!
I think it would look great right next to that blue trophy right behind you.
Yeah. It's getting dark in here now. I should turn a light on, but yeah.
So, but guys, thank you for coming on, and
appreciate you having me,
man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so Steven, if you will send me a message, that would probably be easier because I got so much stuff going on. If you will send me a message and then send me your address, and we will get these out to you here in the next day or so, and hopefully you will enjoy these Bruiser baits, because we sure enough do. We've caught a bunch of fish, especially with the Avengers and the big sticks. And I know one thing. I don't know about you, Bobby, but I'm looking to throw this 19-inch snake that Steve sent
Yeah,
to me.
he's been posting about. Yeah. I've got one in my boat, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't thrown it a bunch, but like everybody that gets in my boat, I've like shown it to them, and they're like, "What in the hell?" And he's been selling the hell out of them, and he
Oh, yeah.
catches them all. I need to
Yeah.
work it into my arsenal.
Hold on. I'll be right. Watch it.
Yeah.
I got it right here.
Yeah, I seen this thing and I was like, what in the world?
Yeah. He's been selling the fire out of them recently. Yeah. It don't look that big in the camera. Well, how big is that one? Because he makes a 17, I think a 19, and then he makes 3 sizes, and they're all massive.
Yeah, and the thing is, and I told him, because he sent it to me and through Norman, and Norman was going to put it in my boat in like my rod locker or something like that, curl it up like it was a snake. And so but then I was talking to Steve, and he said something to me about it. And he said, "You going to throw it?" And I said, "Heck yeah, I'm going to throw it."
Yeah.
I said, what's even better? You're going to just throw it on some matted grass. You don't even have to. This thing's heavy enough as it is. I mean, throw it weightless and just bring it over top of the matted grass. I said,
yeah,
they'll eat it.
So, I've caught the fire out of them on that big nasty that he makes, which is 14.25, pretty much 15 inches. You know, and it's only an extra 2 inches. You know what I'm saying? In the grand scheme of things, like I guarantee you, it catches the fire out of them. And because I've caught and ate a lot of them on that big nasty. I love that thing. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That one.
And that tail, I've got video and stuff of this tail with having it on like as a Texas rig. And this tail is phenomenal. Just how it even, especially, I guess, with it being, I haven't done it on like a pond where there's no current or anything like that. But this tail, especially in that current, it just stays moving, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's got that one down.
That's right there, guys. Is one of the best Carolina rigs.
I was gonna say, imagine that thing Carolina rig.
Oh man, you smoke them on some Carolina.
It's a bad dude.
But
I've caught big ones on them damn things.
We're going to get. I think I got 2 of these, and old Pappy and I, we're going to go out and we're going to do a challenge, just throwing it one day, just see who can be the first one to catch one, or we're going to do the biggest fish. If he catches one before me, it's going to be the biggest fish.
It ain't going to be no challenge. It ain't going to be a challenge. It's already over with.
Steve told me he's caught some like 2-pounders on that dang thing, which is crazy. Yeah.
Well, I say that surprisingly, but it don't, because I've caught on the big nasty, man. I've caught 1-pounders just choke that thing, and I'm like, how in the world are you even thinking?
Yeah,
like, the thing's longer than you are. Why are you even?
Yep.
So,
well,
Bobby, man, we deeply appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I really want to. I mean, I hope that you realize, man, what it meant for you to be at the Classic, and to see you out there and to see you come through those curtains. I mean, I was really proud for you. It really meant a lot to me, and I just hope to see you here on the elites here pretty soon. And I know just the hard work that you put in, that it's bound to happen. It's you might have to sharpen them elbows a little bit more to kind of get past some of these guys, but
there's some killers out there, I'm telling you.
Yeah. So, but guys, hey, I put the links. What are your social media? Because I just put your Facebook link.
So I have Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Okay.
And they're all just Bobby Bakewell Fishing. So
what I'll do, guys, is I will put his Instagram and YouTube on there. I already got the Facebook link on. And so make sure you go check him out. Follow him. I mean, because he's got some killer stuff that he does. And root him on.
page.
So, but guys, thank you again for watching, sticking with us for what was it? For an hour and a half. And I told you we were going to go down some rabbit holes, and we tried to come back and talk a little bit more about some classic, because I think that experience is something else that each person is. It's always a little different with each guy that we've had on. And but Bobby, again, man, you are the man, and I can't say enough about you, brother. So see you here in about 2 weeks, brother.
That sounds good, buddy. I'm looking forward
Good
to it.
luck out there.
All right. See y'all, guys.
Thanks.
See you, man.
See ya.